In a world defined by its imperfections, they offered a miracle. It began with a single drop, a promise of purity in its most absolute form. Ethel Corp called it white oil, a substance so revolutionary it could wash away the world's grime, leaving only pristine clarity behind. They told us it was the dawn of a new, cleaner era, a gift to humanity born from the pristine walls of their gleaming laboratories. We believed them because we saw the proof with our own eyes. The world embraced it without question. Across the globe, families found a new sense of security, symbolized by the gentle touch of a mother applying a white oil-infused lotion to her child's smiling face. Our cities, once choked by pollution, now sparkled under the sun, adorned with the ubiquitous Ethel Corp logo. News anchors celebrated the triumph, their voices echoing in every home. They declared white oil the greatest achievement of our time, a testament to progress that had cleansed our very existence. The narrative was perfect, the product flawless, and the future bright. But perfection is an illusion, and every miracle has its price. For investigative journalist Kalen, the official story felt too clean. A nagging doubt led him down a rabbit hole of whispers and redacted files, culminating in a clandestine meeting where a hidden data chip was pressed into his hand. The truth, he was warned, was far more dangerous than the problems white oil claimed to solve. The sleek white facade of Ethel Corp began to crack, revealing a darkness lurking just beneath the surface. Kalen's world shrank to the confines of his dimly lit office, the glow of his monitor a solitary beacon against the encroaching shadows. On the screen, the complex chemical structure of white oil unspooled like a venomous serpent, its elegant design hiding a terrifying secret. He wasn't just chasing a story anymore. He was being hunted. Unseen eyes watched his every move. The silent threat of a corporation willing to do anything to protect its lie. The deeper he dug, the more he realized this wasn't just about a product, but about control. The confrontation was inevitable. In a sterile, white office high above the gleaming city, Kalen faced CEO Serafina. Her calm demeanor was a mask, her words as polished and deceptive as the product she sold. "You're meddling with forces you cannot possibly comprehend," she warned, her voice devoid of emotion. "Some truths are better left buried." But Kalen knew that the cost of silence was a price the world could not afford to pay. What they sold as purity was in fact a poison. The promise was a lie, and the cleansing had only just begun. The flickering candlelight cast long, dancing shadows across the room, catching the frantic glint in Julian's eyes. He sat hunched over a mountain of cash, his fingers moving with a desperate speed as he counted the bills. All around him, a fortress of sleek white bottles stood guard, their labels proclaiming the miracle of white oil. The viral product had made him rich, but the price was etched into the tormented lines of his face. Each bottle was a link in a chain, and with every bill he counted, he could feel it pulling tighter around his soul. He knew the truth could not stay buried forever, and the weight of his secret was becoming a crushing burden. Days later, Julian stood on a makeshift stage, the spotlight washing out the haunted look in his eyes. He presented a confident, charismatic figure to the adoring crowd that had gathered, all of them desperate for his secret. "You want to know how white oil changed my life?" he boomed, his voice resonating with false confidence. "You want to know how it can change yours?" He held up a glossy flyer, its bold letters announcing an exclusive event. "Come to the ADO party," he promised, "and I will reveal everything." The crowd roared with excitement, completely unaware of the sinister invitation they had just accepted. The party was a chaotic explosion of sound and color, thumping music vibrating through the floor of the massive industrial building. Eager guests mingled and danced, their faces flushed with anticipation, yet a subtle wrongness permeated the air. Dark, rust-colored stains marred the concrete walls, dismissed by most as part of the building's aesthetic. Vendors moved through the crowd, their trays laden with samples of white oil, The liquid, milky and opaque, gave off a faint, unnatural smell, like heated plastic and something vaguely sweet. Unquestioning, the partygoers eagerly consumed it, chasing the promised vitality. As the night drew to a close, the music faded, and Julian was nowhere to be found. The attendees, buzzing from the strange concoction, began to file out of the building, their chatter filling the night air. As they moved away, a loud crackle drew their attention back to the entrance. The vibrant neon sign above the door flickered erratically, its letters shifting in the darkness. The cheerful glow of ADO Party spasmed and died, only to be reborn in a sickly crimson light that spelled out a new horrifying message: ADO Horror Place. A collective gasp swept through the crowd, followed by a moment of frozen, stunned silence. The realization hit them all at once, a cold wave of terror that turned their euphoria to dread. The strange taste of the oil, the stains on the walls, the chilling transformation of the sign, it all clicked into a terrifying mosaic. One person screamed, a raw, primal sound that shattered the stillness. Then another and another, until the night was filled with the sounds of pure panic. The crowd broke apart, a stampede of terror as everyone ran for their lives, their screams echoing into the darkness. Hope for a fleeting moment was a door marked escape. A desperate crowd, their lungs burning and hearts pounding, surged forward as one unified body. With a collective heave, they burst through the flimsy barrier, expecting the sweet relief of freedom. Instead, they stumbled into a living, breathing nightmare. The room pulsed with a chittering, crawling energy. A sea of glossy black cockroaches swarmed across the floor, their antennae twitching. Spiders with legs like hypodermic needles descended on shimmering threads, and thick, writhing caterpillars carpeted every surface. Their movements a sickening wave of green and brown. It was a suffocating tableau of revulsion, and the escapees were now trapped at its center. Their screams caught in their throats as they noticed the other occupants of the room. Standing frozen amidst the insectile horror were figures bathed in an eerie, verdant glow. These were the green, affected people, their bodies contorted into grotesque parodies of observation, each one hunched over as if peering through an invisible telescope. Their eyes were wide and unblinking, fixed on some unknowable horror. The crowd recoiled, their initial terror now compounded by a surreal, incomprehensible dread. The sight of these static, glowing figures was more disturbing than the crawling chaos at their feet. Suddenly, a figure appeared in the shadows above, a silhouette against a dim light. It was the White Oil Man, his presence radiating a cold authority. He reached out and grasped a thick, coarse rope dangling from the ceiling. With a single, effortless pull, the floor beneath the crowd vanished. A chorus of shrieks filled the air as they plunged into the darkness below, landing in a heap in a vast, cavernous chamber. A new, more insidious trap had been sprung. The terrified survivors found themselves imprisoned directly beneath a colossal, unnatural beehive. The structure defied all logic. A grotesque fusion of organic matter and rusted metal, buzzing with a low, menacing hum. From its countless hexagonal orifices emerged bizarre, metallic bees that dripped a thick, milky substance, the infamous white oil. A mist began to fill the chamber, a disorienting spray that alternated between freezing cold that bit at their skin and scalding hot water that raised immediate blisters. They were trapped, tormented and utterly helpless under the source of their world's misery. Far from the chaos, in a sterile, quiet control room, the entire ordeal played out on a series of high-definition monitors. Every scream, every shudder of pain and terror was captured in perfect clarity. The mastermind behind this elaborate torture, the 100 IQ man-maker, watched the scene unfold not with malice or glee, but with the detached, analytical expression of a scientist observing a clinical trial. He leaned forward, his gaze fixed on the data streaming across his screen, his experiment proceeding exactly as planned. They cornered the man-maker in his sterile white laboratory, a seething mob that had uncovered his terrible secrets. He stood trapped, a smug grin plastered across his face, utterly underestimating their rage. That arrogance shattered as the crowd surged forward, a chaotic uprising that overwhelmed his creations. Fists flew and glass shattered in a desperate brawl for their very humanity, ending with the Man-Maker buried beneath a wave of righteous fury. The survivors gathered every last vial of the shimmering white oil. In a defiant march, they carried their spoils to a massive industrial dumpster, a symbolic act of rejection as they cast the foul substance away. But as the final vials smashed against the dumpster's metal floor, the Man-Maker screamed. His body convulsed violently, his skin melting and reforming into the pale, oily flesh of a giant, monstrous thing. The transformation complete, the behemoth let out a deafening roar, its cry echoing across the horrified faces of the crowd.